to the Orthodontic Products Podcast on the MedCore Podcast Network. I'm Alison Werner, your host and chief editor of Orthodontic Products. My guest today is Dr. Deborah Solomon, an orthodontist in private practice with offices in Beverly Hills and Los Angeles. She has built a boutique practice that includes an at-home concierge service, and recently she implemented a Retainers for Life program in her practice. To learn more, I wanted to speak to her. So, Dr. Solomon, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Well, let's get started. So I was reading your bio, and you actually spent the first part of your career as an active duty general dentist with the US Air Force and then went on to do your specialty training in orthodontics. What did you take away from starting your dental career with the military?
So I learned that you can go to work and have a ton of fun.
Excellent.
Yeah, one of the biggest takeaway I would say was the lessons that we learned from the officer training school. That's where we learned how to delegate tasks and become actual real officers. And so the best I would say was the obstacle courses and the solving exercises. Basically, one time I was in charge of guiding and safely transporting an injured soldier across the obstacles. So we had to make sure to avoid certain like really high electrical wires and bodies of water that were supposedly poisonous. And so it was so much fun. We had to guide, 12 of us across the big thick wall. And so it was all about, trying to think logically under high stress situations. And honestly, I think I implemented almost every single day at the office. So it was a really good way to start my dental career. It was really fun. The other thing I would say is you're held at a really high standard clinically. Like at least our, colonel, the chief of the squadron, was all about, excellence in everything we do. And so we always made sure to go above and beyond and always think of like what are ways to make things better, and never just accept status quo because that's how we've always done it. It's always trying to get better, and I've implemented it ever since, sometimes subconsciously. And then looking back, you were, telling me about my career, and I'm like, you know what? I actually do use it every day. So,
Was it always your goal to be a member of the military and to go to dental school, or did one kind of happen first?
so not at all. I didn't even know there was such a thing as like the scholarship with the military. I knew nothing about like soldiers and army or any of that. I grew up in France. I happen
Okay.
to be an American citizen born abroad, and so my mom is the American one in the story. And so when I came to dental school, this friend of mine was like, "Hey, there's a fair for us. Why don't we go downstairs and check it out?" And we went downstairs, and then she knew about the Air Force a little bit, so she started talking to the guy and asking all the right questions. I was just sitting next to the side. I'm like, I don't know why I'm looking at someone with military, outfit like this. I don't know what's going on. This is crazy. And then as he was like explaining it, I was like, oh my God, this sounds amazing. And it's been the gift that never stopped giving to me. It's been an incredible journey.
Yeah. Do you feel like it set you up really well for when you made that transition to go to your specialty in orthodontics and then to set up your own practice?
Everything lined up perfectly. I it's my father always jokes. He's like, "Yeah, you have more luck than brains." Like this is insane how it all worked out so beautifully. Nothing was planned. I just go with the flow and it just works out.
So what drew you to orthodontics? Because you did spend several years as a general dentist there.
So, well, I was actually, I think I had a little crush on my orthodontist growing up. And then um, all the girls in the office were just so fun, high energy. They were always had a smile on their face and they loved their work. That's how at least it seemed to me. And so I was like, hey, like this is an amazing job. Like you get to make people beautiful and you get to have fun with it. And so in the back of my mind, it was always like, hey, why don't I do that too? Then I started going to dental school and I'm like presented with all this new information because I had zero dental background. My father's not a dentist, my mother's not, and then I was like, I don't know. I do like, a lot of the crown preps and I love extractions. And I'm like, I'm not sure. It's a big jump to just, stick with one path. I like the variety of general dentistry and all that. But then, in the military, I really was like, okay, I need to be amazing at everything I do. And this is too much. So
Mhm.
if I could just focus on something that I would truly love and do my whole in it, then I feel like I can do it better. So I decided to specialize.
Okay. So, you now practice you have offices in Los Angeles and Beverly Hills, and you have your own practice, Smile Health Orthodontics. What was the journey to setting up your own practice?
So, same thing, I just go with the flow. I always had in the back of my mind, like, hey, maybe one day I'll open my office. It was never like I have to open for sure. It was just like, oh, we'll see, how it goes. Let's see how life is. I really liked my job at corporate, great team, really good TC, excellent managers, good patients overall, just really, really nice. But, then COVID happened, and I had too much time on my hands.
Mm,
So I decided, maybe I should do that because I had to stay home for a month, and to me, that's, like, an incredible amount of time. And so I was like, "You know what? I think maybe now is the time." And so I slowly put things together, and I had all that time, and so it just happened to be beautiful. Not a lot of
yeah.
thought, but I just go with the flow.
Did you buy an existing practice, or were you an associate in a practice, or did you just start from scratch? You started from scratch.
From scratch, completely, yeah.
How did you settle on so which office came first, the Los Angeles one or the Beverly Hills one? I know they're close together geographically.
Yeah, so the Beverly Hills was the first one.
Mhm,
There was this, general dentist that was looking for, he's a bit, a little bit on the older side, and so,
mhm,
there was space for me. He's like, "Hey, I have, like, this open bay, I'm more than happy for you to get started there." He was actually so gracious that he didn't even want to accept, rent until I actually got my first patient.
mm,
So that was really nice of him. It really helped a lot, especially when, you don't know what you're doing. You're like, what's going on? And so I was very lucky to have that opportunity. And he saw my work. He saw what I can produce, and he's started referring the patients that were in his practice. And then it really gave me the confidence that, okay, I can do it on my own. Yes, I'm going to hire a treatment coordinator and all that. So, believe it or not, my mother in law was my first TC,
Oh,
um,
cool.
and my front desk and my everything. And then we had to hire an assistant, and then slowly I hired a treatment coordinator, and just everything, fell together beautifully. It's a work in progress, so every day we try to improve. But now we have a really nice group of people, and we love seeing our patients, and it's just really nice. One of our patients found us through insurance, and so their pediatric dentist saw our work because we were doing Brava, the Vibreus, the ones on the
Mhm,
lingual. That's pretty much. It's exactly what it says. It's literally cutting the treatment time in half.
mm,
And so he saw that work, and he was shocked how we were able to correct that class two in like 10 months. He had a
mm.
massive full step class two, and it was from day one. We threw in the rubber band. He wore them like a champion. The teeth aligned beautifully, and so he was so impressed that he was like, "Hey, why don't you join me? I expanded my office. I have 3 operatories. Why don't you come with me to this Los Angeles location?" And they're only 12 minutes away,
Yeah.
but, it's so convenient to be located inside the pediatric office because the kids just go get a cleaning, come back to us to put the wire back on and all that. So, now we have 2 locations.
Excellent. Well, as I mentioned in my intro, your practice includes an at-home concierge service. What does that involve, and why did you decide to build that out as an offering to your patients?
So it all started during COVID, right? And so at some point,
Right.
in Beverly Hills, they were much stricter than in Los
Mhm.
Angeles, and so we couldn't
Yeah.
practice in the Beverly Hills location, but all the Los Angeles locations, the dentists were able to see their patients, and the orthodontists
Mm,
kept seeing their patients. And so I was like, "You know what? I have the iTero Flex. I'm totally movable."
mm,
I also had the free dental unit that you could just carry in, like, that suitcase. It's pretty heavy, but
yeah,
it's totally
yeah.
doable. You just have to make sure to go to the gym and kinda work on those biceps. But yeah, I'm fully, portable, and so, for these patients that were nervous to come to the office, and, a lot of, our concierge service patients are, either immunocompromised patients or,
Mm,
patients that have a lot of anxiety and
Yeah.
they didn't have a good experience for some reason in the past in a dental office. And so me and my assistant come. We don't bring too many people. It's just two of us. We
Mhm.
don't wear an actual white lab coat or anything like that. We wear colorful disposable PPE, and we
Mhm.
kind of make it fun. And it's
Mhm.
kind of a conversation that starts on the couch. And then once they're comfortable, we start doing the iTero scan, talk to the whole family. If, both parents are here or a sibling, and we kind of start with a casual conversation. And then
Mhm.
slowly, as the trust builds up, they're in the comfort of their home. We go forward in doing the exam and seeing what options are best for them.
Mhm. And then do you do their follow-up visits at home too? Or are you also using remote monitoring as well?
So it depends. The ones that sign up for the full concierge treatment for their entire treatment,
Mhm.
we come to the follow up at their house. But for the ones that choose to just do the consultation at home and then finish at the office because now the trust was built, then they
Mhm.
follow us at the office. The office is fun. The pediatric office, the way it's set up, it has like a princess room, and there's a Lego room, and there's a travel room with
Aw.
a giant map of the world. It's really cute, and like even our adult patients love it. So it's fun.
Yeah. Well, just because I haven't come across that many orthodontists doing at-home concierge. What how does that look in terms of your schedule? And then, do you bill patients differently for that concierge service than you would in the practice?
Definitely. The concierge service is very, very expensive.
Yeah.
The way you set it up, you have to make sure that when you close the office, the potential of revenue that you could have made while, during that period of time, it has to make sense. And so it's really expensive. We do accept PPO insurance, so that helps cover a little bit, but it's just definitely on the higher end. It
Okay.
has to make sense. Most Fridays, I don't like to work. I like to start the weekend early.
Yeah.
And so those Fridays we can schedule, the at home visit if we need
Mm.
to, and
Mhm.
then we go from there. But so we always have the time that we can carve out. If they
Yeah.
need a different day, we'll, make sure that we have a month, ahead scheduled,
Mhm.
and then the rest of the staff stays and does, admin work and whatnot, and then me and one of the staff will go to the house.
Okay, okay. And then, you mentioned that you're using the iTero Flex and you have the portable dental unit. Are there any other, technologies or products that make this doable that you rely on?
So the best is to when we do the clear aligners,
Mhm.
we literally just set up the attachments on the second appointment when we come in to deliver the aligners, and then we do dental monitoring. And so it
Oh, okay.
really avoids a lot of us, traveling all the way there. So that has been really, really helpful. If you do
Mm.
concierge, you got to go with dental monitoring.
Yeah.
And if they do regular traditional braces, you just hope and pray that they don't break a lot of brackets.
True, but that's the case even if you're not doing it home, so
Yeah.
okay. So, now you recently, and the reason you came to my attention, is I saw that you were offering your patients a Retainers for Life program, and I've come across other orthodontists who've done this. But why did you decide to offer this program in your practice?
Okay, so to me, I feel like retainer for life is like an insurance on your retainers. I don't
Mhm.
love the permanent retainers because, as we know, it's only holding the anterior surfaces together, and so the
Mhm.
posterior can collapse. And so to me, it's a removable retainer. I also don't like the perio. That could be, sometimes an issue with difficulty flossing under the wire and all that stuff. So I highly recommend a removable retainer. However, a lot of times, pets will chew them, they will lose it, they'll leave it in the
Mhm.
car when it's hot and it gets distorted. And so to me, it's like even I lost a few retainers. So and I'm pretty good about it, but it
Yeah.
was the cleaning lady's fault. But life happens.
Mhm.
It's always the cleaning lady's fault. But no,
Exactly.
but
Oh gosh.
life happens. And so you really need to have a backup. And so to me, it's like, okay, the minute you lose your retainer, just give us a call. You paid for the Retainer for Life program. You get one free set every single year, no matter what, for 15 years. And so I think money wise, it's 1,000% worth it for the patients. I want to make it affordable, where because I really believe in it. I think everyone should do it, but at the same time, it has to be, affordable. So we charge a $700 upfront when they sign in for their orthodontic treatment. If they opt out of it, it's totally fine. At the end, when we're done and we're, getting ready to deliver the first set of retainers, we offer them the option to sign up for it, but now it'll be
Mhm,
double the price.
mhm,
And
mhm.
so it'll be 1,400.
Yeah,
Still an amazing value. You get one
yeah.
free set of clear retainers every single year for the next 15 years. If it happens to break more than once a year, they have a $50 copay per aligner.
Okay,
But the
okay.
beauty is that, they get to keep their 3D digitally printed models. And so if they
Mhm,
bring them, they get extra points because I don't know if you've seen on our website, we launched recently the Patient Rewards Hub. And
mhm,
so we give patients points for brushing, for showing up to the appointment, for leaving Google reviews or Yelp reviews. And so we reward every positive, behavior that we want them to do.
mhm,
Parents love it. They get to wear the rubber bands without having to fight with them. The kids are super into
mhm.
it. And I have awesome stuff that for some reason they know exactly what the kids like. So they're like, yeah, you need
Perfect.
Star Wars Lego. They're like, yeah, you need Mixies or something that I don't even know what that is. And I guess Barbie dolls are still in style. So, it's just nice. And when they come into the office, it's like a big display in the front. Behind the front
Mhm,
desk, they see a ton of toys and fun things. And I think it
yeah,
helps to bring in patients as well. So it's a
mhm.
win-win all around.
Yeah. So, with the Retainers for Life program, what are some of the specifics of implementing a program like that? Did anything change in your workflow? Or you mentioned the cost aspect, but was there anything else for you or staff?
Super easy. Treatment coordinators comes in, talks about the treatment options that they have available, and goes over the cost, down
Mhm,
payment, monthly payments. We offer all that stuff, and then before they agree with everything that they decide to do, she, she presents the lifetime retainers, and we explain because no patient starts treatment without understanding that you need to do retainers after. So in
mhm,
my office, we tell all our patients first 6 months after treatment is done, the bone is still, kind of pliable. And so you could get relapse unless you wear the retainers all day, all night, except for eating and brushing. After the first
mhm,
6 months, it's okay to just wear it at night usually, but we'll let them know when they're actually ready to switch to just nighttime only. And so
mhm.
we explain how important it is to do retainers for life. And then once they know that, a lot of them buy into the program.
Yeah, I would imagine after that investment in orthodontic training, it was actually interesting. I was talking to someone I've through work, and she mentioned that her daughter, her 20-year-old daughter, just paid for her own Invisalign after having she had braces as a child, never wore her retainer, and now as an adult, she's having to pay for her own, orthodontic treatment. And I said to her, I was like, well, make sure she wears that retainer. She's like, oh, she's never not going to wear it. She is so, because now it's her responsibility. And she saw that, she wasted that money that her parents paid. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and
I
I
think.
think that's a great way to present it to kids, like, "Hey, now it's time
Mhm,
to be a grown up. You tried
mhm,
your little experiment without wearing retainers and look what happened." So,
mhm. Absolutely, absolutely. So you actually offer this program to patients who haven't completed or who have completed treatment with another orthodontist. Why was that important to you to do?
I just feel everyone should have the opportunity to sign up for this insurance. It's an
Mhm,
amazing thing. And then for us as a practice, it just makes sense because if they'll see our practice, they'll see how cool we are and how the quality of treatment and the different programs that we offer. Maybe they have a
mhm,
kid, maybe they have a cousin that they can refer to. So for us, it's a no-brainer.
mm. Great. Okay, so switching gears a little bit. What you talked a little bit about how you're using the Brius. What new clinical technologies have you found most impactful? And if you want to talk more about that, or if there's something else that you found really interesting for yourself.
So, when I grew up, no, I'm kidding. In residency, all we knew was was Invisalign,
Hmm.
and it's a great company. I love their ClinChecks and all that stuff. I still work with them.
Hmm. Hmm.
I worked with 3M, and then I started working with ULab. And for me, ULab was a game changer
Hmm.
because you get to do some trials, and so you don't pay for the entire, the full session or anything like that. If you want, you could do just one or two or whatever you want to do. You can set up your own case yourself, and that freedom to me was a game changer, and that's why I really like submitting to ULab.
Mhm.
So for me, technologically, that was really good.
Yeah.
Brava by Brias, it's such a genius. I mean, Dr. Medi is unbelievable. So it's an amazing appliance. It
Mhm.
definitely, can use some improvement, and I think they're working on making it a little bit more comfortable for the patient.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I've seen tremendous cases in
Mhm.
my own practice with my own hands. It was unbelievable. The only thing you have to be ready for is just, you know, kind of like aligners. You have to coach the patient and educate them and explaining to them what's going on in their mouth, and kind of support them, give them some peroxal rinse, give them the little orthodont, and whatever it
Mhm.
takes to make their journey more tolerable and more enjoyable. I love offering the Propel. Oh my gosh, this has been a
Mhm.
game changer for us. As soon as we started it, most of our patients on clear aligners use it, and it just works. Whoever's on Propel is just like much more effective treatment for them. So
Mhm.
to me, Propel was a game changer. What else have we done? And trials. We do the trials. It's amazing. So parents come because now we're in the pediatric office a lot.
Mhm.
And so these little kids come in, some of their teeth, their hygiene is not great. They're not understanding that they really have to floss every night. And parents that have multiple kids, it's difficult to really be on top of the hygiene for every kid. And
Mhm.
so we offer them the options to do clear aligners or to do traditional braces with an RPE, and parents don't know if the kid is going to be good. And I have a 5-year-old.
Mhm.
Honestly, like every day I'm like, oh, this is something new I didn't know about you, or you are so responsible, or you're not so responsible.
Yeah.
And so we give them the option to do like a trial of a clear aligner that's
Mhm.
passive. We do it
Mhm.
in house because we have the 3D printer, the Sprint
Okay.
Ray, and so they can pick it up that day later or the next day. And then we call the parents the following, sometimes just 3 days, sometimes a week later, and we'll say, hey, how is so and so doing with the aligners? Are they losing it, or are they able to leave it on their teeth? And based on the parents, most of the time they say, hey, he's actually doing amazing. And I'm shocked. And so we go ahead and order a few aligners from ULab that are actually have a prescription in them. We
Mhm.
do 4 or 5 of them. And then we check them in the office. If the teeth are progressing
Mhm.
well, we ask the kid again how he's doing. If it's good, then we order the whole case. If it's not good, they have the option to switch to traditional braces, and that's great. The other
Mhm.
technology that we're actually about to start using is Light Force. We're going to bond a patient, I think, this week, and I'm really excited about it. I only heard good things about it, so
Mhm.
I'll let you know.
Great, I'll revisit. So when you're evaluating a technology or a clinical product, what goes into your decision making?
I always imagine myself as the patient myself, and based on and just meeting so many patients. I've at this point I've met like I don't know thousands and thousands of patients by now, and
Mhm.
so just knowing like how they try to decide which appliance is right for them and how they would feel the most. I feel like if I was a patient and let's say I the most important thing was to finish treatment in 4 months because I'm getting married in 5 months, then I want to have that available. And so, Brava by Brius was offering that and it actually worked. They made it really accessible for me to try it. They were like, hey, we're gonna give you these 3 packages, these 3 cases packages. It was years ago. It was
Mhm.
like 2 years ago, I
Yeah.
think. I don't know. When they came to the office, and so I was like, you know what? I'll try it.
Mhm.
Let's see what happens. And so I tried my 3 cases, and it was
Mhm.
amazing. So I was like, all right, I'm all in. And so then we offered it to pretty much whichever patient we thought was a good
Yeah.
fit for them. Same thing with clear aligners. If we offer everyone now a trial because I feel like it really helps them with the decision making. They're like, hey, let's try it. You have nothing to lose. And then if not, then we switch to something more comfortable.
Yeah.
So I feel like as a patient, I want to have all these options available. And so I'm able to provide it. Awesome.
With the trial that you're offering patients, is that for both children and adults? Like if the adults wanted to try it out and see how they would do?
First, it was just for children, and then we realized, like, hey, why don't we offer that to adults as well? And it just helps making the decision faster. It's better for us.
That's great. Yeah, I can imagine. Okay, so as we talked about before, you practice in Los Angeles and have offices there and in Beverly Hills, and as you said, they're about 12 minutes apart. It's a very I live in Los Angeles too, so I'm very familiar with the fact it's a very saturated market. What has been key for you for carving out a niche for yourself?
So, it's super saturated, and honestly, you just have to work really hard as far as referrals, and you have to have the budget to spend for
Mm,
marketing. It's just no way around it. So you have to play the Google game. You just have to constantly, but really, the bottom line is, you have to provide excellent care
Mhm.
and an excellent experience. If you do that, they will refer their friends.
Mhm.
They will start their other kids there, and they will follow you.
Yeah.
So the way it happened with me, it was, we offered the Brava by Brias, which is like a new technology.
Mhm.
A lot of orthodontists are afraid of change and they don't like to change the way, the flow of the clinic and all
Mhm.
that. And I'm okay with risks and seeing where things are going.
Mhm.
And so you just have to really find a way to differentiate yourself, a way to offer as many options as you can, and not just be like, oh no, you can only do it with traditional braces. Do you know how many times I heard patients come in, they went to another orthodontist and they told them, oh, I'm not a good candidate for clear
Mhm.
aligners.
Mhm.
And then I finished their treatment in 12 months.
Yeah.
Yes, it looked super scary. Yes, we had to explain to them they have to wear it all the time, but it works.
Mhm.
If the patient is good and you teach them well, you coach them well, it works.
Right.
So you got to put in the work, you got to educate them,
Yeah.
and then you'll see amazing results. The Propel really helps as well. And CE is so important,
Mhm.
continuing education. And so in one of these CE courses, this French dentist that because I grew up in
Yeah.
France, so I was like, oh, I really liked listening to him. He was saying that he had his patients eat with the aligners on for those teeth that are really rotated and everything. At first, I was like, he's completely nuts, what they do in
Yeah.
France. Thank God I went to school in the US,
Mhm.
But then I was like, you know what? One of these patients had a really severely rotated premolar,
Mhm.
and I didn't do traditional, segmental in the back first.
Mhm.
And as I'm looking at his tooth, I'm like, oh, how is it going to start rotating? Is it actually going to do it or not?
Yeah.
And so I mentioned to him, like, hey, why don't you start eating with it on? But promise me as soon as you're done eating, you go brush your
Mhm.
teeth, brush the aligner to make sure you don't get calcification or cavities. And then he did that, and he actually loved eating with it on, believe it or not.
Hmm.
And so the tooth actually rotated, and it was almost 90 degrees.
Oh.
So, yeah, so I've been telling patients that have very, very crowded teeth and a lot of rotation and everything, I'm like, "Hey, why don't you try eating with them on?
Yeah.
It's gonna help speed up the process."
Yeah.
And, some of them are like, "Ew, no, I don't like that sensation. I
Mhm.
tried it, it's horrible."
Mhm.
But some actually did, and their treatment goes really fast.
Okay. So that CE of learning from doctors in different areas and how they're doing it really has an impact.
It really helps. You get some pearls sometimes, and it just
Mhm.
makes, the whole difference for some of our patients.
Yeah. So what excites you about the future of orthodontics?
It's gonna be amazing. The way things are going, there's so much room for improvement, but we're working hard. Like, I can see every day, you go on Facebook groups for ortho, you go on all these CE courses, and thank God my mentors and the orthodontists that are being recognized and speakers are super smart. I think we're gonna make leaps and bounds in ortho, and it's just gonna keep getting better and better.
Great. Well, Dr. Solomon, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Same. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Great. Thank you. And to our listeners, be sure to subscribe to the MedCore Podcast Network to catch up on the newest episode of Orthodontic Products Podcast. And to keep up with the latest industry news, visit orthodonticproductsonline.com. Until next time, take care.